when did you actually like,
It
you
was
know what?
August 2016 was like
Okay.
my big whoop.
Okay, August 2016. So it's not even that long, but
Yeah.
like, what else have you noticed like that shifted in the industry? Like, what kind of changes have you
Yeah.
seen just from then until like now?
Yeah, so especially this past year, all right, is the cost of advertising, right? Because I've seen
Yeah,
so many people start doing the agency type thing, stuff like that, and the
yeah,
cost to advertise, I think the last stat I saw is like up like 30 some percent, so that's significant,
mhm,
and so you got if you're going to spend money, you got to make sure that it's working. You can't guess, right?
right.
And so business owners know this. I think other thing is just that there's more people coming into the space. There's a lot
Hmm.
of noise in the space, supply and demand. Facebook's like, look, if everybody wants to advertise on here, we're upping our rates, right?
And that's what they did.
Yeah, there's
That's
only
what they
so
did.
much room we can put. There's only so many ads we can put on the platform, and
Right.
so I think that it's just a natural thing. I mean, I don't blame them for it, but it's one of those things that if you're going to be in this space, you got to be able to. This is a mindset that we have in emergency medicine is that
Mhm.
I easily adapt to any and all situations. Like, if I walk into a room and a dude just shot, his face off, like, okay, I can handle that. It's just stuff happens. You can't.
I'm calm.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very calm.
You gotta just be able, and the only way that you can do that is if you have skills and like, that's why I learned a lot from my emergency medicine career that's helped me in
Mhm.
entrepreneurship. Is that if I didn't have all the training, like for example, my EMS career, it took me two
Mhm.
years to get those skills where they needed to be, right?
Right.
And then now, though, there's rarely a situation that I walk into that I can't handle that I'm not like, okay, I know what we need to do. Where everybody else is like, you know,
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
that's how some people feel in this industry is they're like, I don't know what
Yeah.
to do because they haven't focused on developing their skills, right?
Exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly.
that's some of the things
I think
going
that's
forward.
I think also like that's one of the things that I learned from Mark, right?
Yeah,
Is that like the principles that he was teaching like when he was alive, they're just timeless. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Well, that's what was so. That's why so many people went to him for advice is
Yeah.
because he could take any situation and immediately have a solution to it, no matter the platform, kind of thing. So
Right.
that's where I think we were really blessed to be able to have those kind of intimate moments and trainings and stuff like that with him.
Yeah, for sure. So okay, so people are here because we're about to unpack
Yeah, yeah.
this
Let's get into it.
impact,
Let's get
right?
into it.
Um, before that though, like which type of digital entrepreneurs do you think will be able to benefit from this method?
uh,
And what kind of results can they expect?
Yeah. So, I mean, in a very short period of time, if somebody takes the things that I'm about to be sharing and run with
Mhm.
them, all right, you can very quickly start popping, one, two, $3,000, gigs using this method. No matter if you're a complete newbie, intermediate, or complete expert, all right. The expert is going to see this and be like, "Holy crap! Why didn't I think about this?" Right. The intermediate's going to realize I can add more revenue to my business, and the
Mhm.
newbie is going to now see a clear path to where they can win because they were probably overwhelmed with trying to get this thing started because they it was just too big of a obstacle. So I think everybody watching will have their own takeaways, but
Okay.
hopefully if I do it justice for everybody watching, they're going to be like, holy
No,
crap,
for
I
sure.
need to do
I
this
mean,
now.
that's why you're here, right? Because when we talk, so I don't know if did I mention this already? I might have said it in the beginning, but like the other day we were just talking about the new project that we're working on, and then you were like, oh yeah, it's like I did this thing, and then we made like 2K in sales, and then I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like, yeah, but the cool part is like it was like there's no traditional online marketing services, right? You were like, I was like, was it like Facebook management? It's like, nah. AdWords? It's like, nah. And I'm like, wait, did you like build a funnel? It's like, nah. It's like, I was like, what did they pay you for?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And then you told me, and then yesterday, we got on a call again, and then you mentioned again that it's like this time you created and crafted
Mhm.
another offer for another company using the same method,
Yep,
right? And this time it was a 3K
yep.
sale, right?
Hmm.
And Okay, you know what? Just tell us more about that, will you?
So so yeah, so that's
Actually, let's start like this. I'm sorry to cut you off. Start with those two sales that I
yeah
just talked about. The 2K, talk about that, and
yeah
then that way people can see like, well, okay, what is this even possible? Like,
yeah.
yeah, right.
So yeah, what basically I'm doing for these business owners, because these are all business owners, right? And the good thing
Mhm.
about business owners is that typically they have money, right? And what you do is I liken it very similar to how a doctor treats patients, right?
Okay.
They don't just come in, and what agencies typically do, they come in and try to say, I can do your Facebook ads for X amount of dollars, right? Well, it
Okay.
might not be that that's what they need. You're diagnosing a you know, something that you don't even know what the problem is. So what my method was is to first figure out if they what symptoms that the business have, right?
Mhm.
um, Applying those core symptoms to a root cause, basically a diagnosis, and then prescribing them a solution to it. And so by
You're
going
like the business doctor.
yeah, yeah. So taking the same approach, what ends up happening is this is what happens in the mind of the business owner is these
Mhm.
symptoms because I'm pointing them out to them, and they look at it and they go, "Holy crap, you're right! Like I never saw it that way." Just like a when a
Okay,
doctor,
okay. Hold on. Let me cut you off there
yeah,
and let's make it real for everybody. Okay. So the first 2K sale,
yeah,
right? Like what type of business was that?
yeah. So that one, the most recent one, there, a B&B, a bed and breakfast in South Carolina, right?
Okay.
And they're wanting to get. They realized that over the last year, their sales have been going down. Okay,
Got it. Okay.
and
And
so
how did you guys connect? Like how did
I was
like
referred. I was referred to them by
okay.
another client that I was helping. So word of
Mm,
mouth is one of the best referrals once you get things going, and it
yeah.
all starts with helping one person. You help one person, they tell somebody,
Gotcha.
they tell So I know
Okay.
a natural thing right now. People are thinking, "Oh well, I don't have anybody to give me word of mouth." I'll show you all a simple way to fix that.
Oh
Just
yeah, we're gonna get
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Believe me, I'm gonna
So,
dig into
anyways,
it. I'm
so
just
the
trying to
the
dig deep.
business, the core business, all right, because it doesn't matter the niche, but their problem was sales were going
Mhm.
down, all right,
Okay.
and they didn't know why. Okay,
Gotcha.
so that was the problem. That was the symptom. Was that? So then I got on there. We did a consulting call, and I pointed out to them why their sales are going down. I pointed out their crappy marketing, their crappy
Mhm.
messaging, their lack of infrastructure. All right, and their inability to have a system to scale it out. Right, they were doing everything manually. They didn't
Mhm.
have any kind of idea where their leads or the best buyers were from. They didn't know, as in his own words, he was like, I need to find my tribe of people, right? And because he had a certain
Mm,
avatar, but he didn't realize that that's what he needed. Okay,
okay.
so
So Avatar is like the perfect
yeah,
customer
yeah,
for this
yeah,
kind of
yeah. So
business.
the one that he knows that they buy every time. So
Okay.
that was his big problem. I pointed out what I would do for him, basically a
Mhm.
prescription. Okay,
Okay.
and
And what was that? What was that prescription? What was
so
the so now you're like, okay, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this
yeah, yeah.
sucks. I'm the
So
doctor, I'm gonna
so
write
I
this up.
knew. So this is where one of them really came up from. This was that I knew that they weren't going to be able to afford me monthly to do all their stuff, right? So I
Okay.
gave them a proposition. I said, look, I'm going to fix your infrastructure. I'm going to give
Okay.
you a marketing message. I'm going to do let you know exactly where your tribe of people are at and where you can find more of them. Okay,
Mhm.
and by the end of it, you're going to have uh, a data driven strategy, like I said from the
Mhm.
beginning, with a system that you can scale your efforts with, right? And
Okay.
so, uh, knowing that he couldn't do that on his own, right?
Mhm.
And he had the pain point of like paying other people money to do this kind of stuff for him, but nobody's ever explained it to him the way I did. And he was
Okay.
like, okay, that's what I want to
Uh,
do. And he was a little hesitant at first. I'm not gonna lie. Like, 2K was a stretch of money for him, but
yeah.
I let him know like you're gonna get X amount of consulting calls. For him, it was two consulting calls,
Okay.
but
Two consulting calls. So how many hours is that? Like 30
two.
minutes, an hour?
No, that's a good solid hour.
Okay, so
Yeah.
1 hour for both consulting calls, so 30 minutes each,
No,
or
no, no. Like so, 2 hours. All right.
so 2 hours,
Yeah,
okay. And then
and
how
and
long did it take you to implement those things that you
building out this. So what we did a couple different things. I won't get into the weeds of it right
sure, sure.
now, but I also basically I framed it in a 60-day time frame, right? I said
Gotcha.
like because it was a lot of, hey, when you do this, I do this. When you do this, I do this. So that and the reason that's beneficial is that he's getting that muscle memory of how his business should be working, right? So
Mm,
what most agencies do, they say, hey, look, I'm going to do everything for you, right? And the business owner has no idea, doesn't really appreciate what's actually going on behind the scenes. With this
mhm,
offer, you're basically like the instructor, the consultant, the teacher, and the business owner or the marketing team is actually doing the work that other agencies are doing themselves. Like, you know,
ah,
I'm instructing them for how they can run their business, right? So two things
gotcha.
happens with this method is one, they are very appreciative of the insights that you give them because now they realize that they're going to make more money in the long run,
Mhm,
and they're much likely to refer you to somebody else because if they're not a company like that first guy, he didn't really
right,
qualify for like a monthly consulting client, a monthly agency client, but his friends do
mhm,
qualify, right? So this is where my new value ladder is now I frame this 60-day consulting offer so that
yeah,
then I can then pre-qualify them. Do they really fit my next value ladder? Because our monthly is minimum 3,000 a month now,
okay,
like if not like significantly higher because of the people we're talking to. So
right.
that's what it
But this
allows.
is like a smaller
Yeah,
section of the
this is kind
segment
of
that
like
can afford that.
it feels good, 2 to 3K for 60 days of a few hours of consulting,
Yeah.
feels good, right? It helps. I get a lot of insights because I do this in multiple different markets. Like I recommend people staying in one lane of traffic, but
Mhm.
much like Jay Abraham, he did a bunch of different consulting in a bunch of different markets. I'm able to take what I learn over here and apply it to this client, and they're like, "Holy
Wow.
shit, never thought of that."
Yeah. That's
Um,
crazy.
so yeah,
So let me ask you this, like where did you come up with this idea and like how did you come up with this idea?
yeah. So it started off because I realized, just like with Mark taught us, is that the world's changing
Mhm.
significantly. There's a new layer on the Earth,
Yeah.
all right, and you can physically see it if you Google like U.S. or just world satellites. There's literally
Okay.
a new layer around the Earth, right? And
Right.
that's where business is being built on these digital infrastructure.
Right.
So Mark, we learned the skills how to build this digital infrastructure, and then from that, I started seeing. Whenever I look at businesses, I started looking kind of like having this X-ray vision of being like
Yeah.
their infrastructure sucks,
Yeah.
like, and
The
so
digital infrastructure sucks.
yeah,
Yeah.
again, like much like the first one I did, it wasn't. It was a different problem. I see this
Uh-huh.
website, and it was a brand that I really liked. Like I personally liked this brand, right? And
Okay.
I did some homework on them. Realized that they were getting 30,000 visitors a month, but they
Mhm.
had crappy infrastructure. And so I was just curious. I was like, I wonder if they're aware of this.
Right.
So I basically, did my detective homework, found out the person to contacted
Yeah.
them, just saying, hey, look, same kind of thing. Like I recognize this symptom with your
Right.
website, which
Right.
leads me to believe there's a
Mhm.
core root problem. All right, like because this symptom you could easily fix, but there's
Right.
probably a hidden root problem that y'all are not aware of, right? And I'd like to
Right.
come in and look at your business and see if I can help you with that. So that salted enough curiosity to get me the meeting with this. And this company does $100 million a year, right?
Oh
Um,
wow.
and
That's
so
crazy.
yeah, and so people that are watching this are like, oh, I can never do this. At the time, I had a
Mhm.
one-page uh, agency site. It was one page made in ClickFunnels, like just a couple pictures and stuff like that. It was total garbage,
Yeah.
right? And
Uh-huh.
I could have let that hold me back from messaging them, but I was like,
Mhm.
screw it. I mean, this is a huge problem. If they see value in it, I mean, there might
Yeah.
be something there. I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. So
Okay, so
yeah,
if you guys are just joining us, okay, because we're
yeah,
broadcasting this on Facebook. What we've been talking about here is my friend Tommy G here. He is a agency owner, consultant, top affiliate marketer, and he has been he's sharing with us today. He's about to share the actual meat, right? He's been telling us about this concept of crafting for kings, which is like a hack that he created that he could consult with like different types of businesses with the skills that he has, without offering like full blown digital marketing services like normal, our normal digital marketers would do.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I have an agency. We do, Facebook ads, Google ads. We do sales funnels, follow up sequences, right? And then other marketers or other entrepreneurs, they sell, info products or like programs and stuff. And like he did all of this without that, right? And
Yeah.
he's about to show us, so first I'm going to ask him is like, what are like the biggest benefit? And then later on, we're going to, we just talked about the concept. So now he's going to get into the meat of this
Yeah.
whole thing. So
Yeah. So
what's the biggest benefit of these clients? Like as soon as they accept your offer, right? And because you're not doing things for them,
yeah.
right? What's the biggest, like, what did they feel is the biggest benefit that you're doing it this style and
Yeah.
not like doing it for them?
Yeah, because initially when I've shared this with people, they kind of like fellow agency owners, they're like, so, I mean, are they happy with you just doing that? Like, are they not upset? And I'm like, it couldn't be farther from the opposite, because the reason that they're so happy with me is that basically, like I describe it to them, their business is leaking money, right? If you don't have this data, this analytics, there's three talking points that they get out of this package that I give them. One, they have the peace of mind knowing their data and analytics are set up properly and able to track the different key performance, KPIs that they need. Secondly, I give them a strategy, okay, that they can implement and be able to systematically grow their business, all right, by knowing exactly what their customer wants, how to give it to them, and how to convert them. And then lastly, I provide them a system, right, or at least I map out the system. I don't build it for them. I map it out.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
That's what's blowing my mind.
Because this is the thing. There's two types of business owners. Like one, they're a one-man show and they want to think that they can do this all themselves, because what they're thinking is that, hey, if I have all this done, I'll just do it myself instead of paying an agency $2,000 to $5,000 a month, right? I just pay myself that. All right. So they're getting like a crash course on what it means to run a good, profitable marketing system, right? But if they realize this is the beauty of it, they'll realize going through it that, holy shit, this is too much for me to do myself.
A lot of work, yeah.
And so then it leads to the question, well, how much if you just do it for us, Tommy? So then they have to weigh the options. Do I just outsource it to his agency, or what happens is, this is the other scenario that I have, and this is what it kind of birthed from, was one of the clients, they had 4 people on staff already that were marketing people, right? But I diagnosed this huge problem that they have. I knew that I couldn't offer them my agency because they had 4 people that they were already paying. So if they went with me, these 4 people would
be out of a job.
Yeah. And these were the people I was talking to. And they actually said in the first meeting, they were like, oh, so you basically just want to do our job. And I realized right then and there, that could not be my message, right? My message had to be, I'm going to elevate and enhance all of y'all, So now I'm coming in, getting paid for my skill set, my knowledge, my expertise to advise, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm positioned more as an expert, as an advisor. And one of the cool things from this, to give y'all an idea, what that one company that has 4 people on their staff, in total, they've done over $25,000 in business with me, right? I've not run one of their ads, okay? But
in the wrong business.
They are so happy. They are so happy. And that's a fraction of what these people make. That's what people that are coming from the internet marketing space that typically end up, dealing with other people in their home business and not going after people that actually have, like, businesses have a lot of money if you go with them, with the right people.
Of course.
So anyways, with what those 4, they've even asked me to sit in on their interview process. Like, that's the kind of, like, that's the role that you want to have going forward as this marketplace is changing. You want to be highly sought after for your skill sets and your expertise than you do for just doing Facebook ads. Like,
you know what? So I'm trying to put myself in the viewer's shoes, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the question that I would be asking that's coming up in my mind is, so working with these clients, right? Like I know just working with regular clients where I actually do some of the work as well,
Yeah.
right? It's already like a battle to go like, hey, I need this from you. What I
Yeah.
have to have a process in the beginning, like in my
Yep.
onboarding process. So do you have that dialed in? Like how
Yep.
does that work for you when you're, it's like, okay, I'm diagnosing and then you're giving them like, and like, what does that look like? Does it go from a day and then they get back to you like a day later,
Yeah.
or is it very efficient? How's that?
Oh yeah, it's very streamlined. Something that
Okay.
executive communication is huge, right? Something that Mark always taught us. So
Yeah.
it's very, because I realized too that a lot of these business owners are very tech phobic. They're not really sure, and there's certain things like that I need them to do, or else it bottlenecks my success, right?
Okay.
So what I
So you
did
saw that.
was after first doing it a few times one on one with them, like walking them through how to do it and
Mm-hmm.
seeing where the hard parts was. Now after they pay me, right? So I'll have my purchase page that's 2 to 3 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
very the thank you page redirects to an onboarding page, that's like, hey, awesome, love that you're ready to get started. Here's your first
Awesome.
action steps.
Wow.
And a lot of that includes adding me to their business manager, getting me access to their Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, because the infrastructure is the key
Right.
point here, making sure that all the different tracking
All
and
the
all this different,
analytics are
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Right.
So
That's
that's stuff
awesome.
that's gibberish to them, but they have to give me access or else it can't get done. So that's
Right.
knocked out immediately when they pay. Okay.
Okay.
And then I give them about 4 or 5 steps to start thinking about this, to acknowledge the strategy part of it, where
Okay.
it's stuff like, send me your logos, your best marketing materials, who you think your customer is, why people should buy from you, because I'm trying to get a perspective of how they see their business, and then
Yeah.
that way on our first consulting call we can really dive in and I can tell them where they're messing up and where it could be better, stuff like that.
Okay. All right. So let's start to unpack this, right?
Yep.
So how many steps do we have in this method?
I recognize 3 core steps. All right,
Okay.
like from a broad perspective. Like this is going from, like, if somebody's watching this right now and they're like, what would I need to do to land one of these type of clients?
Okay.
All right,
I'll
so
be taking notes.
it might be 4. I don't know. I got my little note. Before the call, I wrote down my little
First of
steps.
all, what is the name of your method?
Yeah. So I call this crafting for kings, and
Okay.
this is the idea behind it. Okay, it's based off an ancient proverb that Mark taught us, and that is, an ordinary man will not stand before, or I'm gonna do it justice. A skilled man will stand before kings, not ordinary men. Meaning, like in the ancient days, like if you had a specialized skill set, you were brought into the palace to advise and consult with the kings and royalty, even if you weren't of that. It's how you can get into royalty without actually being like royal bloodline, right? So in today's modern market, I was like, okay, I want to be the guy that's on the inside that business owners are, seeking my advice, kind of
Right.
thing. That's the idea behind it. Okay. So
Nice.
to do that, I got to get my foot in the door to the palace, if you will, and so
Okay.
that's what starts with our steps. So
Okay.
very first thing you have to do is recognize and diagnose a symptom of a business, right? And here's how you can
Okay.
do that. So you want to be able to um, look at their website and and find a problem with their infrastructure, with the guts of their websites, with the data, and there are a few ways you can do that.
Okay.
But before you do it, you want to make sure that website is getting at least 1,000 visitors a month. Okay,
Okay.
because if it's not getting enough traffic, it doesn't matter if they're not tracking anything, because it's probably not making much money. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. And then so you have these softwares that that you
Yeah. So a
use.
simple tool, if
Are
y'all want,
these free or are these paid
yeah,
software
free
that you
free tool. If you're
Okay.
familiar with SEMrush, SEM
SEM
Rush,
Rush?
they give you daily free scans you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I just use that for now. I used to pay for it monthly, and it's a great
Mm-hmm.
tool. I'd recommend it highly. But all I need it to do is simply tell me if this person's worth, fixing a problem. So I'll just kind of use one of the first ones I did as an example. So the very first one I did, they were, like I said, they were getting 30,000 visitors a month. So I was like, all right, clearly and they were paying for Facebook, or not Facebook ads. Oh, they were paying for Facebook ads too, but they were paying for Google ads because I Googled their name and I saw, or Googled a keyword that they would have and they were on there. So what I know about this business before I contact them is that they have traffic, they're paying for Google ads, all right, and they're paying for Facebook ads. Because now this was before this was possible. You can go to Facebook and hit info and ads, and you can see if they're running ads. So if you see those three things and you don't have proper Tag Manager, Google Analytics, and Facebook Pixel, even one of those is not properly done, they're losing out. It's a disservice for you not to at least tell them what's wrong, right?
Yeah.
So
hold on. So for guys, if you guys are joining us, I'm here with Mr. Tommy G. Okay, he is a digital entrepreneur, agency owner, CEO. He's also one of the top affiliate trainers in our space, and he's sharing with us, this method that he's doing where he's consulting, but he's not doing traditional. He's not generating the revenue traditionally like a normal, what you would say normal online marketer, right? He's not charging for making ads. He's not charging for managing. He's not making info products. He's not doing any of those things. Like, he's doing purely high level type consulting, right? And he's getting paid high level type consulting for it. And he just got done with step number 1, which is to find and recognize the system. And now we're about to get into like step number 2. So I just wanted to let you guys know that for the people that are coming in, if you guys are liking this information, this value information, guys, drop a number 1 for Tommy. Because I mean, so far, like, I've gotten some pretty damn good golden nuggets. Okay, so anyway, so let's continue. And then and for the Google AdWords, right? Like, there is a software called SpyFu, right? If you guys want to look into that, like, if you go click on that, you put in like the website name, that will also let you know if that website is actually using paid ads, and it gives you the average and maybe like 5 keywords that they're using, just like how you were talking about with SEMrush.
So there's great tools out there that can help, and then there's also one called Built With that I'll put it in there, and that does is let you know what all the plugins, like, if it's like a WordPress site, what plugins they're using, stuff like that. So
so we'll put all these resources in the description. Okay, so that way, like, people know, like, we mentioned these descriptions.
So once I've so at this point,
so that's step number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Done.
So
next step.
Now it's moving into getting this information to the decision maker for that business owner, right? Okay. So this is where you have to be a little bit of detective work, figure out. Sometimes it's super easy. It's the contact information's on the website. You shoot them an email, and it can be something as simple as, hey, I recognize that you're paying for ads, doing this, doing that, but you don't have this. Meaning, like, you don't have your website infrastructure is not set up properly. And I can show you what that means and how it's costing you money on a quick 5-10 minute phone chat, right? It's something short and sweet, all right? Or you can give them a phone call too, all right? I know most people, they're going to, like, they might be hesitant, but at the end of the day, this is a people-to-people business, Right. And so I would encourage people, if they can, make a phone call and just make it they're going to enjoy you saying, like, look, I know you're paying for ads and stuff like that, and I've realized that you're actually losing some money. This is similar to a person bleeding out, right? Like, you're bleeding money. I'm trying to show you that you're bleeding and how to stop it. Okay.
Okay, I got a question for you. Yeah. Are you also figuring out, like, is there a way for you to figure out what their sales revenue is, or there's no way for you to figure that out until later?
That's normally something later, like in our conversations and stuff like that. And you can there are some resources that I won't get into here that you can actually get a list of revenues of certain niches and stuff like that. But I think that's a little overkill. You don't really, like, if they're paying for these things, then that typically means that they're okay with investing in their business, and they're going to look to avoid wasting money, right? So the idea of that first email is simply to get them to pay attention to what you have to say. You're not selling them on what the offer is or nothing. It's simply to get them to be like, maybe we should listen to this guy.
Yeah,
right?
it's like, hey, you're bleeding out.
Yeah,
I
you're
found
bleeding.
something.
And then what I recommend too is you can send a value video where mine are less than 5 minutes, where I'll have all the tabs up, like
Uh-huh.
SEMrush, Google, just a Google keyword, their website where
Sure.
you can do the Facebook Pixel Helper, but
Absolutely, yeah.
and just show them like, look, you're doing this, you're doing this, and I also even say you probably have a marketing team already taking care of this, or you have somebody. I just wanted you to
Mhm.
point this out. Send this info to them and ask them, what's up, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Because if they have nobody, then that means that, hey, you might be the one that is a perfect fit for that,
absolutely.
right? They didn't realize that this
Absolutely.
was even a thing. Secondly, they're going to be upset because they're like, I'm already paying people, because that means they're paying even more. If they're paying somebody to do this, they're
Right.
spending they're spending at least like 3 to 5 thousand a month between staffing and hours and tools and resources. So
Yeah.
if they're like, holy shit, what am I paying for, right? So
Right,
this
right.
is, and that's where you can pre-frame it, because you're
Mhm.
not trying to get the sale right away. You're just trying to show value, right?
Of course, of
And
course.
so, anyways, that's kind of what the initial reach out looks like. The
Okay.
first, and that's so
So,
step.
all right. So again, guys, if you're just like tuning in, like Tommy G, suitsandsirens.com, like he's been sharing with us like this strategy, this technique that is allowing him to do a consulting job, but the hack that he does is not normal, right? Like he's not offering any Google ads, he's not offering any Facebook ads, he's not offering the traditional info marketing products or programs, and he's still generating like 2K per sale, 3K per sale, and with minimal time, and he's not even building out like sales funnels or anything. Okay, he's using his expertise in a high level, and he is sharing with us like pretty much everything, like his knowledge and experience. And I haven't heard anything like this, and I've been around like the industry, like so yeah. I am now. We just got done with step one, which is recognizing the system, looking for the flaws. That's easy enough, right? We're gonna give you guys the tools and resources that he uses, right, to make sure that you can do the same. And then the next step is he just got done telling us that he needs to send out this information. So some of the tools that you could do there is this thing called a telephone, right? And pick up the phone and call them up and tell them, it's like, hey, I checked out your website, saw that you're bleeding money, right? And I just wanted to either tell your team so you could point it out to them, or if you want to talk about it or whatever, right? Am I missing
Yeah,
something? Oh,
and the key,
go
yeah, the
ahead.
key thing is like to let them know on the phone exactly why, because chances are they've heard stuff like, "Hey, your website's broken" or whatever. But you got to get
Gotcha.
really specific, being like,
Ooh, yeah,
"Hey,
that's a good one.
you have to say your
Deep
website. I can tell that you care about your business because you've invested in marketing through your Google ads and this. You point out different marketing efforts, but I want to let you know that it could be better, and here's why.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah,
If and this is where you get into this 3-part pitch. You say that
sure.
once you have your data, you have to have your data and analytics to know if your ads
Okay.
are working. And then from that data, you need to have strategies that attract new customers and refer and like s or like a sales funnel, like escalate new sales, upsell. And then you need to have a system to do it that doesn't tie up your resources, right? Um, I probably could have pitched that better, but it's basically analytics,
Yeah,
strategies, and systems. Okay, you got to have these three
gotcha.
things, and you say I'd love to be able to show you a little bit of what that looks like. When you have more time, because if you're on the phone, you just say, hey, if you have 2 minutes, I want to share with this, and then just say,
Right.
when would be a good time to do a follow up call where I can show you in more detail. And that follow up
Gotcha.
call is step three,
Mhm.
where that's where you're actually selling them, right? It's
Gotcha.
the
Step three is the
skies.
pitch.
Yeah, it's where you're pitching them, and this is something, when we go back to Crafting for Kings, there's a few people that people can study, all right, that
Mhm.
have been doing this. Like Jay Abraham has been
Okay.
a great one. Chet
Yeah,
Holmes
he's
is
a
where I
good one.
got one of the ideas from with his education-based marketing.
Mhm.
And of course, our mentor Mark, he used to do advising like this to billionaires, right? So
Right.
I mean, having people or having things to model like that
Right,
really
right.
helps. Like it lets you redefine what's possible, kind of thing. Because I mean, I saw Mark get $50,000 for his consulting. So these little 2 to 3K type
Yeah.
things are nothing compared to what other people get done. So I mean, just to give people some perspective, like I know there's some people watching, they're probably like, I could never do, that.
Right,
It's like I was exactly where they were at like 2 years ago. But
right.
whenever I attached myself to somebody that's done it at a high level, it was like,
Sure.
oh, that's how it's done. So
Right.
yeah,
That's amazing. Okay, so let's dig into the pitch, right?
yep,
So step number 3 is the pitch, and now you show them the data. Like, how long usually does it take for you? Actually, question number 1, how long usually like until you guys meet? And question number 2, have you done this like? Were you able to do this like remotely, or do you
yeah. I've
literally
done it.
every single one you have to meet?
I did my very actually I'd say my second one I was able to do it face to face. Okay,
Okay,
but everything else since then has all been remotely.
nice. Like how far? Like it doesn't matter, right?
Oh
Like
no, I have East Coast and West Coast clients. I got people California and North Carolina. So I mean,
very
yeah.
cool. That is freaking awesome. Okay, so walk us through the pitch.
All right, so the pitch is it's value based. Like
Mhm.
you're really just unpacking your knowledge and expertise to show them. All right, this is point out the problem that you saw. All right, I'm
Okay.
gonna do the really condensed version here. All right,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
point out the problems that you saw, why it matters. Okay, and then you transition to what it looks like after this is fixed. Okay,
Okay.
if you fix these problems, this is what you stand to gain. And then you outline what that looks like. In the case of some of my clients, I let them know, for example, they're paying for Google ads. This is an easy way to do it. They're paying for
Okay.
Google ads, right? But they don't have a Facebook pixel on their website. They can't retarget on Facebook if they don't have the proper infrastructure, right? So now that $2 a click they were paying for, if they could retarget for just a couple, like 20 cents a click on Facebook, that
Yeah.
marketing money just became a lot more beneficial,
Yeah.
right?
They
And
just
so,
made money.
yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
much is what happened.
yeah.
They just made
Like,
money.
and it shows people that look, you don't have to. The amount of resources, like if people are only advertising on traditional means, like most business owners, like I just had a plumber come redo my toilet, and he was
Mhm.
like, I did the same thing to him, but he was a bad prospect because like he was paying for Google ads and he didn't have a lot of this stuff set up, but he didn't give two craps about like money or making things better. So I was
Yeah.
gonna offer him like to do a lot of his shit like for discounts on getting my toilet done, right?
Sure, sure.
I was gonna help him out, but
Ready and willing.
he didn't have any interest whatsoever. So I was like, all right,
Mhm.
here's paying for the
Yeah.
work. Anyways,
Okay. Here's a question that comes to mind.
yeah.
The let's say the last 2 clients that you had, what kind of sales revenue? Were they over like $3 million a year
The
that they
one
had like
what
systems already in place?
one was not, one was.
Okay, yeah.
Um
So my experience is like, if it's $3 million a year in sales, they usually have their
yeah,
systems in place. Maybe not like the digital system infrastructure, but they have systems. They
yeah,
understand what system. Like 3 million and below,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, well,
most
and the people that are 3 million and below, they're still a great target for
prospect.
this
Okay.
prospect. And here's why: is because you can do the work for them, and it sets them in motion to become a 3 million plus company. Because you let
Yeah.
them know, like, because you ask them, like, hey, what's the big vision? Why'd you start the company? And they're like, I did it because I want to, eventually I want to be able to sell it and retire on that money, right? Well, you let them
Yeah.
know the investors only invest in things that have data, analytics, strategies, and systems. Like they want to be able to see that you have a consistent, or be able to see in a data driven way that you have consistent sales, right? If you don't have that set up, then you're not going to win. And typically, if they're a business owner, they have other business owner friends, which he might be under 3 million, but his friends at 20 million, let's say. So
Absolutely.
that's why you got to price this worth your time, because you are spending time doing it,
Mhm.
sharing your expertise, and you want them to
Yeah.
value your time. If you price this thing at $500,
Yeah.
it's not, I value my time away from my family very much so now. I got my, my daughter now. Oh,
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
my time premium went up exponentially whenever she was born. And
Right.
so, and companies pay more attention when they pay with their money. So I find a sweet spot for me. Like at first it was 2,000, and then
Hmm.
most recently we're starting to flirt with 3,000, and because
Okay.
we're seeing what the market, responds to, kind of thing.
Okay.
And at the end of
So
the day, I've never had anybody so far with this offer be like, I don't feel like I got my money's worth. They're all over the moon happy with me.
okay, so can I ask you the time fulfillment, when you're
Yep.
meeting these clients, right? So the last one you said is like a 2-month deal, but then it was like 2 to 3 calls or something like that.
Yeah. So my normally I tell them it's a 60-day offer where
Okay.
you're gonna get the consulting calls where you basically I teach them, they're given
Hmm.
homework, and then they execute. Of course, they get unlimited email support. Like if they have questions in between, I help them out with that. And so as they do the work, and I'm checking it for them to make sure it's right. Okay. We also do because what we have done is consumer research for them. So I tell them, hey, you need to find out if you don't know who your customer is, do a survey your list, ask them these questions. And so
Hmm.
I had one, all he did was do a post on his Facebook page and got
Hmm.
30 some responses. And he
Nice.
realized very quickly he was not advertising the benefits that his customers wanted. Okay. He was mind
Right.
blown. He's like, holy crap, I didn't even think that mattered to people. But he's like, I need to change my
Yeah.
messaging on my website. I'm like, yeah, you do. You
And
know?
you surveyed the list.
Yeah.
Classic, classic.
So what this
Okay.
all does is, as you're doing this, it's 60 days. There's two things that
Hmm.
are happening for me too. I'm finding out that this person is somebody that if I want to get aggressive and upsell,
Hmm. Yeah. Sure.
or if it's somebody that like I want to be able to get like 5 referrals from, you know. At the end of the
Gotcha.
60
That's a
days,
good strategy.
yeah. So that's what it does. Like and then with this one new client, I haven't landed them yet. Right?
Hmm.
We made them the offer. We made them the $3,000 offer, but they turned it down because a lot of the stuff that we were offering, they were already paying a vendor to do what we were offering to do for them. So they're like,
Right.
wait, we're checking with that vendor to see what the hell's up. But get
Yeah.
this, this is the cool thing. Beginning of next year, they're looking for a new marketing, like it's already in the budget, and their
Right.
budget is upwards of like $500,000, right? So
Nice.
now, because we gave value in advance, I have the text message from the lady that said we're in the front running for that bid. I mean, I have to
Right.
work for it. So what I was gonna do for them, instead of 2 consulting calls, I offered 4. Not so much because they needed 4. I wanted to spend as much time and as much value with them as
Right.
possible to help land, because they are strongly qualified for that next bid. You know,
Nice.
kind of thing. So they do 50 million a year. Okay, to give you an
Awesome.
idea. So you know, $500,000 a year in marketing is not that much money. That's an appropriate budget. For people that are
Sure.
watching
Sure.
this and they're like, what does that even mean?
50 million a year in revenue,
Yeah.
and their budget is 500,000 a year.
That's what they're budgeting for next year to do.
Gotcha. Cool. Guys, man, give Tommy some love, give him some likes. I'm running out of questions here. Pretty much, I mean, is there any other steps that you feel like
Yeah,
somebody should know
the espresso
before?
version of what it is, it's find
Mhm.
a problem, which a great starting point is if they're Facebook Pixel, Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager. If any one of those is not on the website, they qualify. Next thing
Okay.
is to look for at least 1,000 visitors a month in traffic. If those are there, reach out to them to highlight the problem, explain why it's important, get the
Hmm.
consulting call, which is basically your sales pitch, and you're basically
Yeah.
telling them what you would do to fix it. Okay. And what I recommend doing is telling them is that you're going to do a 60 days of intensive consulting kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I'll probably, for people, if they think it's valuable, is if they comment below saying if they want to see an example of my pitches. Because what I do is I send them a little 5-10 minute summary video of everything that we talked about in the consulting, so
Oh,
that
that's
they
super valuable.
yeah, so that they can see that. So once you get that pitch, then it's a matter of just sending it over and giving them a reason to act. Like I put a value of 5,000 on it and saying if you
Mhm.
buy by, 7 days from now, within 7 days, it's
Mhm.
reduced to 2,000 or 3,000 because eventually I want to get this to 5,000.
Gotcha. Now, when you say it's the 4 consulting session, that's the unlimited emails and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
But the 4 consulting session literally equals 4 hours
yeah.
of your
That's
time in 60 days.
yeah. So
Is,
that's like
am I
that.
getting that right?
Yeah, so it's typically an hour-long consulting, and that's like focused 100% me and them. I am building like what is the only other part of my time is building out their infrastructure, making sure everything's set up right.
Tag
But
manager,
yeah,
click
analytics reports, yeah,
analytics.
custom audiences, lookalikes if they need it. I take any assets that they didn't realize were valuable and turn them
Mhm.
into valuable tools,
Gotcha.
and so that all that's set up for them, and that's gonna take somebody. Everybody's skill level will be different. Some people can hit that
Sure.
super snappy. Starting
Hmm.
out, I wasn't as good with Google and Google Tag Manager, so that took me a little bit longer to do. But
Yeah.
now I got it mastered because somebody else paid
Gotcha.
me to do it, kind of thing. Like,
Right. So you got paid to learn.
yeah,
Guys,
yeah.
if you guys are just tuning in, I am here with the great Mr. Tommy G from suitsandsirens.com, digital agency owner, top affiliate trainer in the industry, and he is sharing with us the number one hack, consulting hack that is getting him paid unlike any other online marketers out there. Okay, he's not doing Google AdWords. He is not setting up campaigns. He is not selling an info product. He is not doing a membership site. He's not doing any of that. He is literally he just shared with us like all three steps of his method and more. Okay, so just to recap, step number one is he looks for a website who has 1,000 or more visitors, and then he looks for the problems and issues, which are no tags, no tracking, no anything that he sees is wrong, right? And then we'll put the resource tools inside the description, okay? And then this step number two, remind me again. Oh, is making the video or you
Reaching
know
out. Yep.
reaching out, letting them know that it's like, hey, this is the problem. You're bleeding money. I'm here to help or help your team. Okay. And then step number three is the actual pitch where you get in contact with them and then you just let them know it's like, here's what I found. Here's what it will do for you. And, like, here's how much I charge if you want me to fix it. And I mean, did I miss anything there? I
No,
mean,
that's
I'm
it. And
making it
then
like
and then
super
make
simple, but
yeah, make an offer. That's the framework for I mean popping these things, man. And it's
yeah.
for anybody that's wanting to get into this that really wants to elevate their level of service and kind of
Mhm.
what I recommend doing is phasing out your services. If you're an agency or something like that, you need to have this
Absolutely.
advisory phase,
Yeah.
for clients.
We are on the way there, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like the advisory phase. Then they can graduate to done for you, like where they're actually like a monthly client. And then the
Mhm.
third phase would be like the mastermind, in person, face to face, where you have a group of your clients, all right, that
Mhm.
pay for a higher level of intimate, like because maybe they want to end up taking it all in house, let's say, and that's fine.
Absolutely.
Like I have no problem. Like if they're paying me X amount, like for that client that we're looking at bidding,
Sure.
um, whatever. Part of that
Mhm.
package is going to be training their staff how to
Right.
do the sales systems because
Yeah.
a lot of businesses right now they have sales staff just like you've said before. Like you get them leads, but their
Yep.
team sucks, right? Their
Yeah.
team's not
Yeah.
converting.
Absolutely.
So
We definitely had
you
those
can't.
issues.
The problems agencies have is that when they're in this phase, they're
Mhm.
doing everything. Like whereas if their team sucks, then they need
Yeah.
phase three where you're doing
Gotcha.
you're doing everything and helping their team get better. All right,
Yeah.
that's what I see. That's my vision for our agency is to have these three buckets to put different clients in.
For sure, for sure. Now, guys, we're setting up a Facebook group here, okay? And as you guys can imagine, like mentorship is very important to Tommy and I. And we recently teamed up on a new project that we're getting together. And you know what? Like we want to take a few people with us, right? We want to take a few people
Yep.
with us to end 2018 strong and to make sure that we're setting some people free by 2019. Okay. Now, if you guys enjoy that training, make sure that you are letting Tommy know because the things that he shared with us today were just like super super valuable. Okay. Um, Let me see. Is there anything else that you would want to share? Okay, if people want to know what you're up to and find you, where do they go, Tommy?
You can find me on Facebook if you want. Tommy Guidros. Pretty easy to find. I got my, the two different sites. Suits and Sirens is the eight. Oop, just kind of flipped everybody off. uh, so Suits and Sirens. My personal blog is Tommy G Tips. That's really where my heart and passion lies. With travel, adventure, fun, entrepreneurship. And the whole and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, okay. So let me ask you this for your plans and your priority for, ending 2018 and 2019, because it seems like you have many different business model and business revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which would you say that you would have like your number one priority for this ending this year to like next year? If you had to pick one, like which business model would it be? This one that you just shared with us, or would it be something else completely?
This one's really, really good, but it does have a ceiling because it is attached to my personal time and it's priced accordingly. But I only
Mhm.
have so much time in the day and so much time to give out. The other for 2019, I have a totally separate endeavor that it's going to be exponentially more lucrative,
Yeah.
and exponentially more fun and adventurous. And it starts. I won't tell much about it, but it starts with 2 weeks in Hawaii in 2019. And
Mhm.
that's part of the business model. I'll just leave it at that. Is jungle adventures.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so if the people that are watching now, if you guys are tuning in, just watch the replay. Okay, there's no pitch at the end of this video. Okay, and this training is purely just to give value and digital entrepreneurship is really tough. Like just being an entrepreneur is really tough. Okay, and we provide these types of videos and training to I feel like this is one of those little hinges that'll swing big doors for a lot of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs that's just starting because it gives you like a fast cash flow
Yep.
fix. And even while you're still learning your entrepreneurship, and this is one of those strategies that, man, I wish like I would have known like when I first started, and now you're just like here watching it like on Facebook. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have this, like in and around this video, we're gonna have a Facebook group because again, we have that mentorship and we know like how important it is. So go ahead and join that, and then Tommy will, I talked to him about this already. Tommy, will you create that step by step checklist of like everything that we need to do to implement this strategy that you just shared with us?
I will, but
Hmm.
there's a catch. Okay.
Okay.
And that is simply, I need to know that there's enough people. If I put the time and effort into doing this, I got to know that
Okay.
there's enough people that are going to run with it. All right.
Right.
Because if not, it's not worth my time to do.
Okay.
But if we get enough, buy in comments and stuff like that, I'm
Hmm.
100% committed to releasing all
Okay,
the
so let's do
secrets.
this. What's the magic number? Like, how many people has to comment below that says, "I want the checklist," or
Yep.
what is it? Crafting for Kings, right?
Yep.
It's like, I want the checklist for Crafting for Kings, or just say I'm in. It's like I want. There you go.
Yeah,
Let's keep it
we'll keep it
simple.
simple. I win.
I want.
No, really, if I can get 20 people to say I'm in, I
Yes,
know
20
that
people.
at least at least three of them will probably actually do it and pop a $2,000
Awesome.
setup using this method. So I'm
And
down
you
with
know
that.
what? Okay guys, so I'm all about, so again, this is a three-part series. Okay, you guys just saw the 50,000 foot view of like this deal, and we're gonna dig even more about like more strategies on like how to do this, like this kind of business, how to support your digital endeavors. Okay, so make sure to join that Facebook group, and if there is 20 people in that Facebook group by the time that Tommy looks at it, then for sure he will have that checklist ready and waiting for everybody.
Yep.
Guys, thank you so much for everybody's time. This has been awesome. This was definitely unexpected. I was like pleasantly surprised, Tommy.
Awesome. I'm glad. I've been needing to purge this information, so I'm glad that it's out there for people to implement.
For sure, for sure. Guys, thank you so much, and thank you for watching, and thank you for being here, and I will see you guys next time.
Later.
See you guys.